It's Whitney, your host with Needles, Embroidery, and Clothing. Thank you so much for coming by and watching today's beautiful episode of how to embroider on this little guy right here. Say hey. This is the Elephant Cubbie, and he is in light blue, embroidered on both the left and right ear. On the right ear, I'm going to show you how to embroider using the hoop and how to float this like so. And then on the left ear, I'm going to show you how to use a fast frame like this. Both ways were fantastic. I approve both methods. Obviously, you're going to get more surface area with the fast frame like so. That's why I chose to do the larger part of the embroidery using the fast frame. It was really simple to put on my stabilizer using the hoop. As I said before, both methods were perfect. Now, this project terrified me. This was actually my first cubby to embroider on, and I was scared. I've had this cubby for quite a few months now. I want to say 3 months. Isn't that horrible? I did offer my customer a discount for me dragging my feet, and if that's you, please give your customers just a reward for keeping their temper with you and remaining your customer. That is just a loyalty thing, and I think they deserve it. So, yes, this customer received a discount for me just dragging my feet, but I finally got around to it. I did record it for you. I think that you will benefit greatly from watching this video. If you do have a different method of embroidering on these, or if the method that I am presenting you does not work with a single needle machine and you have a better method, please write it in the description box below. You can also videotape it and upload a video response. That would be amazing. I do love reading your comments, and I enjoy you guys having a conversation with us over at the Needles group page. And it's just one of our fan groups that we have started. Regina and Jerry are the co-hosts of Needles Embroidery. And so, yeah, I think that's all that we have to say. Is that all I have to say? Okay. I am going to be using my 4x4 frame and my cutaway stabilizer. I'm going to be putting this inside here, floating it, and then I will be pinning this inside the hoop like so. And I normally would be using my fast frames. I'd use this fast frame right here, and all I would do is use the sticky back stabilizer, but I realized that a lot of you don't have the fast frames, so I'm going to be doing one ear using my hoop and the other ear using my fast frame, just to help all of you who have one or the other. So let's get started. And I am doing this on my phone because my SIM card, my SD card does not have enough memory, and I'm transferring all the data, but I still don't have a lot of memory. So please bear with me as I do this using my phone. All right, let's get started. Okay, so I realize that this is a terrible angle, but I don't have a better one. I'm sorry, the little stand that I use does not have height, so it can't go up. Alright, so what I do is tighten up my hoop to fit my frame, or excuse me, to fit the top bracket. Loosen it 1 or 2 turns, that way it'll give me enough wiggle room to put the stabilizer. And I go all the way to the side. I don't like wasting my stabilizer. Press that down, make sure it's good and tight. Okay, so I should be getting something like that. Nice drum sound. Alright, I'm just speeding this up for you, but I am trimming away all the excess so it doesn't get caught in the embroidery machine just making sure that it's still taut and it sounds like a drum. Then I will be cutting an X formation in the back of the stabilizer so I can pin my elephant ear down to it. And so I kind of just have to jab a hole in it and then start cutting up. It doesn't have to be a perfect square as you're starting to cut, because you will fold these flaps back and use that for extra security to hold your elephant ear underneath the hoop. Because this is a 4x4 hoop, it does not matter how the ear it's applied to the ear, because I can rotate the image any way that I need to fit inside. Okay, so I am using the straight pins that have the little ball on the end, but if you want to use the ones that don't have the ball, that is just fine. That might actually be better, just in case your design goes over into the onto the stabilizer. I put quite a few straight pins in this just because it was my first cubby that I have done and filmed at the same time, so I wanted to make sure that it was not going to go anywhere, but that is up to you how many straight pins you want to use. Okay, so you are looking at my Entrepreneur Pro, and this is the display screen, obviously. What I need to do here, because my cubby is sideways, I need to rotate the image so it stitches out correctly. So I just hit this button, rotate it 90 degrees, and looks great. Close. I won't be making any changes to size or anything like that. I won't be finding the center of it. Since I'm just floating it, it'll automatically go to the center of the hoop. So we are going to go to sewing, and I'm going to get started. I am not going to show this whole part, but I will show you the finished project. I also will be holding the cubby as it goes back and forth, just to keep it safe from coming undone from the pins. I mean, it is really bottom heavy here, so just take precautions. You can float some water soluble stabilizer on there. I will be doing that since this is really foamy in here, and this way when you float your images like this and your designs like this, you actually won't be getting any of the stabilizer on the back or the front, so there's nothing for you to tear away. You can do this method right here in a single needle machine. Just take precaution with the part underneath and hold on to the cubby. Okay, I just wanted to show you the process here one more time before I get started. I am putting my water soluble stabilizer on top of the ear since it's really foamy and plush, and I am just floating this. I'm not going to tape it down or pin it down. And now I'm going to get started, so I will catch you guys as soon as it is finished. Alright, so I'm going to be removing this from the hoop now. It turned out really good. This was a very simple design, so it took no time at all, but my elephant stayed in place the whole time, and that's exactly what we want. Now, if you are trying this for the first time, be prepared for your machine to kind of be cranky with you, because when you are using a hoop and then you are lifting it up by, I mean, a good bit, it puts some strain on your machine at different locations. So my machine kind of made some funny noises, and I did record that part of where it was making noises, but this is the finished product. As you can see, I chose not to have my machine trimmed in jump stitches, which it will do for me, but I find that in stuff like this, when I'm actually holding something, it's better for me to just go in there later and trim those, and it takes no time at all for me to cut that away. Here I'm just removing the stabilizer, the water-soluble stabilizer, and I noticed that the Z and another letter was actually caught in the stabilizer. That's okay. All I'm going to do is just trim that away later, and you could hardly see it after it was trimmed and removed from the hoop. If this happens to you, just take the time with a really sharp pair of scissors and trim that away. There I'm showing you it again. Simple to cut and trim. Take your time. Make it look nice. There's the finished product. Doesn't it look great? Now, time for the other ear using fast frames. Okay, here I am just measuring and tracing around my fast frame, cutting my stabilizer. I will actually be using 2 sheets of this stabilizer because it is quite thin. It is from mjsewingsupply.com. Okay, so I've already embroidered on the left ear, excuse me, the right ear. Now I'm going to embroider on the left ear, and it's going to have to fit in my embroidery hoop or my fast frame this time sideways. So I'm going to be using this fast frame right here, the 135 by 100 millimeter fast frame, and this is a 5 by 4. And it'll fit perfectly right inside there. Now, what I am going to do before I actually put my sticky back stabilizer on there and then attach my ear is put it on my machine and kind of do a parameter check, because I want to make sure that the majority of my work stays kind of like right around in here. Especially since I have to rotate the design to fit into the fast frame sideways. So I'm going to do that right. So I am using my sticky back stabilizer, and this is the medium weight sticky back from NJ Sewing Supplies. They have great prices on all of their stabilizers, threads, and just a lot of their notions. I advise you to check that out if you are wanting to save some money and don't mind waiting on the shipping. It does take a couple of weeks to get them in. So I just stretch the stabilizer across the back of my frame. There we go. Okay, you are wanting a drum sound. Okay, so part of it is a little loose down here, which is a good indicator that it's not tight enough. Okay, now, much better. Okay, so you want that drum sound. My fast frame actually installs in my bracket like so, and I have my design where it stitches out. It's rotated, so I'm going to put the top of my embroidered work up here, or on the left side, and the bottom of my embroidery work on the right side. So I definitely want it to be the right way. My thread is already on the machine. Just trying to get the best placement for this. What I'm eyeballing here is how much of this space is at the top and how much space is at the bottom. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Now I'm just going to take my pins and pin around it. I do want to get the very edge of my design because my embroidery work goes all around. I'm going to put another, like the scrap sheet of stabilizer on the back, just like so. And this actually is right where my design is going to be stitched out. If I was thinking about it before, I might have actually extended my stabilizer and wrapped it around the edge of the fast frame and extended it up onto the lip of the fast frame. I guess I could still do that because there's going to be a lot of pulling. So I'm going to make sure that this is in there really, really well. Okay. I'm going to try to embroider on this now. Alright, he's ready to go to my machine. Alright, here is our beautiful finished work, and I have some tips for this and some information that I think that you will find valuable. So as I take this apart, I will just kind of walk you through them. So the first thing that I have noticed is that floating your stabilizer, whether you are going to be doing the ear underneath the hoop like we did on this side, or whether you're going to be floating it on top of your sticky back stabilizer, the outcome is virtually the same. The only difference that I have seen with doing both techniques is, one, the obvious one, the fast frame gives you more work surface, more area to enlarge your embroidery work. So whichever method that you choose to do, go with it, enjoy what you do, and it's going to look fantastic. I loved how both of these designs turned out. Both methods worked really well for me. I did notice that using the hoop, all this extra padding underneath my hoop made it a little bit more difficult on my machine because it was lifted up a little bit more. There was some strain and my machine started making some weird noises, but for the most part it was fine. This side, no problem whatsoever with my machine running. I did not have any stops or starts like I did on this side. I think this side might have stopped. The machine might have stopped running and given me an error chime maybe about 6-7 times on this side. It could have been more. I kind of lost count after so many times, but I think mainly the reason why is because it was so thick. You are going to have the embroidered work on the back unless you decide to cut this open and hand stitch that back. So obviously you're going to want to take that into consideration on how you do this. But the back side on this side looks a little bit messier because I went ahead and had all my individual items trimmed, so my jump stitches are all trimmed. On this side, however, because the words were so small that I just left my jump stitches, and the back is a lot cleaner without any of these knots. So before I remove my stabilizer, I'm just going to trim back my jump stitches where the knots were, and you're going to want to do this where you're close to the knot. However, you don't want to trim that knot away, otherwise it will just start unraveling. If you do accidentally clip a knot away, go ahead and take your, what is that stuff called? It's the seam stuff that people use on their ribbon. Fray away. You can use fray away, and that stuff will keep your stitches from unraveling. It's kind of like a fabric glue, but not glue. That's a great way to describe it. Anyway. Okay, so taking my time on these, not clipping the knots behind it. I'm doing all of this in real time. Hopefully I won't forget and, you know, speed it up. I am going to be taking my time removing the stabilizer from the back because I do not want that to be visible. Now, in between all the detailed work, yeah, you're going to have some stabilizer that's stuck between there. That's fine. I'm just talking about like the main portion of the ear needs to be cleaned off. You are hopefully going to be removing the bulk of this like this instead of leaving it there. Unless it's yours, you do whichever you want. But with my customers, I want them to come back. Have you noticed, since you embroider or are considering embroidering, you critique everything? And so anything that may even be professionally done, you critique it and you look at the stabilizer that they used or see if there's any pulling or pinching of the material around the design. Like, I am so critical, and it's really difficult for me not to be so critical of my own work. Like, my husband may say, yeah, that looks great. I'm like, really does it look great? Because this part right here is a little crooked or it's pinched. Whatever it may be, I feel like I am so critical of myself now that I do this for a living. About to be interrupted. Had people coming out. This is going to look so stinking cute. Okay. Here is what I have noticed on this. I started out with, at the top for the birthday, I started out using the water-soluble stabilizer, and it just kept being pulled in closer and closer. And so when I had my stabilizer just floating on top, it became like this shriveled up piece of nothing, this plastic that was just kind of in the way. So that is nothing. So what I decided was to test it out on this last digit right here and see if it would look better or the same without the water-soluble stabilizer, and I found that it actually looked the same. The density of my stitches is 6 millimeters, so it's pretty dense, and I did this for all of the design here, so it really covered up the plush of the ear nicely. If I had it a little bit thinner, like the density was maybe 4.5 or 5 millimeters dense, I probably would still have to use the water-soluble stabilizer to let it float on top. But I did not hardly see any difference at all in using the stabilizer and not using the stabilizer. So that is a thought for you. If you're going to be working on these, you may want to try using it and not using it. I did use a stabilizer on this side and it looks good, but maybe I could have gotten away with not using it. So these little cubbies are so cute. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and we will catch you next time. Bye! Alright, so here are some finished pictures for you. I really like how these turned out, especially this pink one that is coming up. Oh my goodness, isn't that precious? Okay, we have a new name on Facebook, Needles Embroidery Tips and Help. It took a long time to just kind of narrow down to and name, and I think this one is going to be it. Needles, embroidery, tips, and help. Please join us on Facebook. We would love to have you. And also, be sure to check out our most recent videos on YouTube. How to clean the bobbin arm on your embroidery machine. How to embroider on a fisherman shirt or anything that is really slippery. And then this really cute in the hoop doodle it. We would really appreciate if you would give us a thumbs up on the video. Like our videos up, up, up. So when you do type in something related to our videos in the search bar, they come straight up to the top. Be sure to subscribe and share our videos across the social media sites. Have a great day, and I will catch you guys all in the next one. Bye!